April 23, 2026. The Indian Ocean. A $6.2 billion aircraft carrier crosses into the U.S. Central Command Area of Responsibility. The USS George H.W. Bush, CVN-77. Final ship of the Nimitz class. 1,092 feet of American steel, nuclear power, and airborne firepower. She is not alone. In the Red Sea, the USS Gerald R. Ford, the largest warship ever built, is already on station. In the Arabian Sea, the USS Abraham Lincoln holds position. 3 carrier strike groups, 12 warships, more than 200 aircraft, 15,000 sailors and Marines. The last time the United States put 3 carriers in the Middle East at the same time was 2003, the invasion of Iraq. 23 years ago. This time, the target is different. Iran, a fragile ceasefire. Mines in the Strait of Hormuz. Over 60,000 U.S. military personnel now stationed across the region. And a drone threat that has already cost the Navy nearly $1 billion to fight. But one of those 3 carriers is different from the other 2. 6 months before this deployment, it did something no aircraft carrier in history had ever done. It fired a laser weapon and shot a drone out of the sky. Cost of that shot, less than $5. If that number sounds impossible, it is not. And by the end of this video, you will understand why it changes everything. Let's talk about why this matters. Because the drone problem isn't coming. It's already here. And the numbers are brutal. Between 2023 and early 2026, American warships in the Red Sea and across the Middle East faced hundreds of drone and missile attacks. Iranian-backed Houthi rebels launched wave after wave of cheap kamikaze drones at U.S. ships and commercial vessels. The Navy responded the only way it could, with Standard Missile 2, Standard Missile 6, Evolved Sea Sparrow missiles, and rolling airframe missiles. These were the most advanced anti-air weapons on the planet. They worked. They shot down the threats. But here is the problem. An SM-2 costs about $2 million per shot. An SM-6 costs nearly $4 million per shot. A Patriot interceptor costs about $4 million per round. A full Patriot battery costs about $1 billion to procure. And the drones they were shooting down cost about $20,000, maybe $50,000. Some cost even less. Do the math. You are spending $4 million to kill something that costs less than a used car. Defense analysts call this the cost curve problem. And it's not just about money. It's about magazine depth. A carrier strike group can only carry so many missiles. The Arleigh Burke destroyers escorting these carriers have vertical launch cells, limited space. Once those cells are empty, the ship is exposed. And reloading at sea under combat conditions? Nearly impossible. So even if you had unlimited funding, you'd still run out of room to store the missiles. And your enemy knows this. That's the strategy. Iran doesn't need to sink a carrier. They just need to drain its defenses, send enough cheap drones, force enough expensive interceptors, and eventually the math wins. You run out of missiles or money or both. A $50,000 drone that forces you to spend $4 million defending yourself. The enemy builds 100 of them for the cost of one of your interceptors. That's not a fair fight. That's a business model. And it was working. Something had to change. The Navy knew it. The Pentagon knew it. And the answer, when it came, didn't come from a bigger missile or a faster jet. It came from a box on a pallet. To understand why this weapon ended up on this particular carrier, you need to understand the ship itself. Because CVN-77 isn't just another flat top. It was designed to be different from the day they laid the keel. September 2003. Newport News Shipbuilding, Virginia. Construction begins on the 10th and final Nimitz-class supercarrier. The ship is named after George H.W. Bush, the 41st President of the United States. Before he led the country, he flew 58 combat missions over the Pacific. He earned his wings just days before his 19th birthday. He was one of the youngest pilots in the Navy. On September 2, 1944, anti-aircraft fire hit his plane over Chichijima. The engine was on fire. He completed his bombing run anyway, then bailed out over the ocean. His 2 crewmates were killed. Bush floated on a raft for 4 hours before the USS Finback pulled him from the water. The ship's call sign was Avenger, after the aircraft Bush flew in combat. But the Navy didn't build CVN-77 just as a tribute. They built it as a bridge, a transition ship between the Cold War-era Nimitz class and the next-generation Gerald R. Ford class, and they packed it with upgrades that no previous Nimitz carrier had. A bulbous bow design for improved hull efficiency, curved flight deck edges engineered to reduce radar signature, a repositioned island moved further aft to open up the flight deck and cut electronic self-interference, an enclosed radar tower, modernized deck coverings that shaved 100 tons off the ship's weight, a new propeller design, armored windows on the bridge, 100,000 tons displacement, 2 nuclear reactors generating 260,000 shaft horsepower, top speed over 30 knots, overall length of 332 meters, capacity for up to 85 aircraft, a crew of more than 5,000, enough fuel for her aircraft and escorts to operate for months. Those nuclear reactors can run for over 20 years without refueling. 6 years of construction, $6.2 billion. Commissioned in January 2009, the most advanced Nimitz-class carrier ever built. And yet, for all that engineering, for all those billions, the Bush still carried the same fundamental weakness as every carrier before it. When a swarm of cheap drones appeared on the horizon, the only options were missiles that cost millions per shot and magazines that would eventually go empty. The Navy designed this ship to carry the next generation of technology. The technology just had not arrived yet. Until October 5th, 2025, Atlantic Ocean. The Bush is underway, conducting what the Navy will later describe as a live fire test. On the flight deck sits a containerized system. No massive turret, no visible cannon, just a box lashed to the deck, placed there by a joint team from the United States Navy, the United States Army Rapid Capabilities and Critical Technologies Office, and a defense company called AeroVironment. Inside that container is a laser. They call it Locust, Laser Optical Counter UAS System for tactical use. It is a palletized high-energy laser designed to detect, track, and destroy unmanned aerial vehicles at the speed of light, 186,000 miles per second. The beam is invisible to the naked eye. The drone never sees it coming. During the test, Locust locked onto multiple incoming target drones. It tracked them. It engaged them. It destroyed them, one after another, on a moving carrier deck in open ocean conditions. By all available accounts, no aircraft carrier had ever done this before. Not the Ford, not any of the 9 other Nimitz-class ships across 50 years of service. CVN-77 was reportedly the first. Here is how it works. Locust's radars detect enemy drones up to 7 miles out. Once a threat is identified, an operator locks on using an Xbox controller. From there, the system's AI takes over. It tracks the drone as it maneuvers, holds the beam on target, and burns through the structure. Plastics melt, electronics fry, the drone drops out of the sky. Cost per shot, under $5. In most engagements, about $3. That is the price of the electricity to power the beam. Compare that to a $2 million SM-2 missile or a $4 million Patriot round. Same job, a fraction of the cost. But the real breakthrough is not the price tag. It is what happens after. With a missile, you fire and it is gone. One target, one missile, one empty launch cell. With Locust, there is no ammunition to deplete, no warhead to replace. The system runs on a rechargeable battery bank, or it plugs directly into the ship's power supply. And what does a nuclear-powered aircraft carrier have more of than anything else? Electricity. Unlimited, reactor-generated electricity. That means a virtually unlimited magazine. As long as the ship has power, the laser keeps firing. No reloading at sea. No supply ships hauling missiles through hostile waters. Just energy and cooling. Think about what that means. A carrier strike group that never runs out of defensive shots. An enemy that cannot win by playing the numbers anymore. Send 50 drones, send 500. The laser engages each one for pennies. The cost curve does not just flatten, it flips. And Locust was not built for carriers. That is the thing. It started as a ground-based system. The Army took delivery of the first prototype back in 2022 and deployed it overseas operationally. By September 2025, AeroVironment delivered 20-kilowatt systems mounted on infantry squad vehicles. By December, 2 more went onto Joint Light Tactical Vehicles. The system proved itself on trucks, at fixed sites, even along the US-Mexico border. The October test on CVN-77 proved something bigger. Locust is platform agnostic. Roll it on, plug it in, start shooting. No permanent installation. No costly ship modifications. It goes from a truck bed in Texas to the flight deck of a supercarrier in the Atlantic without missing a beat. And AeroVironment is not done. In March 2026, they unveiled the Locust X3. Third generation, scalable laser output from 20 to over 35 kilowatts, broader beam aperture for longer range, AI-enabled detection and tracking automation, designed specifically with high-volume threats in mind. Threats like Iran's Shahed 136 drones, the ones that have been hitting ships, bases, and cities across the Middle East for years. The base unit costs roughly $8 million. Sounds like a lot, until you remember a single Patriot battery runs about $1 billion. And every shot from Locust costs $3. The system was featured on CBS News' 60 Minutes. It is ready for serial production. Admiral Daryl Caudle, the Chief of Naval Operations, put it plainly. Directed. Energy is the answer for line-of-sight threats. Use lasers for defense. Save your kinetic missiles for offense. Stop burning millions to kill a $20,000 drone. If you are seeing why this changes naval warfare, hit that subscribe button and stick around. Because the Bush did not test this laser as a science project. 6 months later, it sailed straight into the most dangerous waters on the planet. March 31st, 2026. The Bush Carrier Strike Group departs Naval Station Norfolk. 3 guided missile destroyers ride alongside her: USS Ross, USS Donald Cook, and USS Mason, plus the fast combat support ship USNS Arctic. They do not take the short road sea through the Mediterranean and the Suez Canal. Dangerous. Houthi threats remain active in the Red Sea. Mines litter the Bab el-Mandeb Strait. Instead, the strike group sails south, around the entire continent of Africa, around the Cape of Good Hope. Thousands of extra miles reduce exposure to threats. 3 weeks later, April 23rd, the Bush enters the CENTCOM area of responsibility. And with that, the United States has 3 carrier strike groups in the Middle East simultaneously for the first time since the invasion of Iraq in 2003. The Ford in the Red Sea, the Lincoln in the Arabian Sea, The Bush in the Indian Ocean, 12 warships, more than 200 aircraft, over 60,000 American military personnel across the region, a fragile ceasefire with Iran, and the president ordering mines cleared from the Strait of Hormuz. 3 carriers, massive firepower, but only one of them has proven that a laser weapon can work on a carrier deck. Only one has demonstrated the ability to kill drones at the speed of light for less than the price of a cup of coffee. And that ship is now operating in waters where Iranian drones are a daily reality. If you were commanding Iran's drone fleet right now, what would you be thinking? The old equation was simple. Cheap drones beat expensive missiles. Send enough of them and the math always wins. That equation just broke. A box on a pallet. That's all it looks like, sitting on the flight deck of the most advanced Nimitz-class carrier ever built. Named after a pilot who got hit by anti-aircraft fire over the Pacific, finished his bombing run anyway, and lived to become president. Nothing dramatic, nothing cinematic, just a container, a laser, and a nuclear reactor that never stops generating power. Under $5 a shot, virtually unlimited ammunition, speed of light. USS George H.W. Bush is the first carrier to prove this technology works at sea. She won't be the last. The drone age demanded a new kind of weapon. The Navy just delivered one.